this morning I woke up to a lot of notifications on my phone, and as I checked them, I realized that one of my tweets has gone mini viral. A lot of people were commenting on it, bookmarking it and saving it, and I was wondering, wait, why is that the case? Turns out Google's official account for developers, it reposted my blog, reposted my tweet, which is great because I totally did not expect it to get so much traction. Well, in this video, I want to talk about that blog. I want to talk about this entire thing because it's really interesting. So basically, this story started about a week ago when Google released Gemma 3, which is a series of their open source models for specific use cases. Now, this new model was just 270 million parameters. And for context, the models that we are used to of using every day, like ChatGPT, DeepSeek, Grok or Gemini, all of these are like almost trillion parameters, which is a huge difference because when you compare such a small 270 million parameter model, what you can do from it is just so cool. Like you can run it on your local laptop, you can run it on your mobile phone, which is very cool. You don't have to pay somebody to use these AI models. So when I first saw that Google released a new model of just 270 million parameters, and on the performance benchmarks it looks decent, I was like, I want to try that out. So I went and tried that model and its responses were pretty disappointing. I asked it to tell me a joke and I don't know what it said. So the model seemed very naive and stupid, and that's why I had a lot of skepticism and I did a bunch of shit posts on Twitter about that model, and people replied back. People said that I'm using it the wrong way. These type of models are not generic. You cannot just expect them to work out of the box. You have to fine tune these models, and then if you use them, you might get better performance, and then you can maybe run it on your mobile phone or laptop and get all the things that you cannot do with something like ChatGPT. So I was like, I need to try that. But first, I need to think of a use case. I want to try fine-tuning this model, but I really need a use case for this. I mean, if it's just for learning purposes, I could just fine-tune it on a random database, but that wouldn't satisfy me. So I had to think, and then what I thought was basically, I went to Strava, I downloaded all of my activities on Strava, which was around 250 activities, all the runs, all the cycling events or whatever I did. I downloaded the entire thing, and then I went to Cursor and I asked Cursor to parse all the data and then convert it into a format that I can use to retrain this smaller Gemma model. The way it was done was very smart actually. I used free version of Gemini API to convert the input and get some outputs that I can train the model on. Let me give you an example of what I mean by that. This is how one data point looks in my dataset. As you can see, it has a type of my activity, run, previous activities, how much time it took, what was the speed, and then also the summary and reflection. The summary and reflection part was generated using Gemini 2.5 Flash, so I didn't have to actually pay for anything, but now I had a dataset of almost 250 activities that I could use to train the smaller model on. And that's what I did. Now, one thing you might have noticed is that all the summary and reflection, these are pretty rude and they are pretty dramatic. And that was intentional because I wanted to make a coach that would shit on me every time I go for a run. So instead of praising me and saying stuff like, oh, you did a great job, I wanted something that would tell me that I'm doing a horrible job and I need to focus. So that's why the dataset looks the way it does. I took that dataset and then I went to Google Colab, used Unsloth Colab Notebook. These are free of cost and you'll find them. I'll put the link of these in the description. Unsloth is a great place if you want to fine-tune open source models on Google Colab. They give you full working notebooks that you can use, and you can use those notebooks, replace their database with yours, play around with a bunch of parameters, and then you will be able to get like a fine-tuned version of an open source model. So I used Unsloth Notebook to fine-tune the model. A couple of things to notice here was that I changed a bunch of parameters in the LoRa adapters. LoRa, for those of you who don't know, so think of it as like this model is small, I agree, it has 270 million parameters, but still to train such a big model on Google Colab free version, it'll be very tough. Plus, you probably don't need to train the entire thing every time you want to fine tune it. So what you do is that you freeze all the layers of this model and just take a few layers. Let's say if I only take 8 or 10 layers, or for numbers, and it's just a random number. Hypothetically speaking, think of it as like I only took 10,000 parameters and I retrained the model's 10,000 parameters on my dataset instead of training the entire 270 million parameters. So that's what I did. I fine-tuned it on a specific set of layers, and then I ran the entire process for 50 epochs, and the learning rate was by default whatever it was, 2 to the power of 10 to the power minus 5 or whatever. I did that. It took around 7.5 minutes, and once it was done, I gave it a new prompt that it has never seen, and its response was pretty good. Its response was as good as I would expect from something like Gemini 2.5 Flash, ChatGPT, or any other AI model, which blew my mind, because this is so cool. I took a very small model that was performing really weirdly. Then I was able to fine-tune it on a dataset that I was concerned with on Google Colab in around 7 minutes, and then it was just working. This blew my mind. There are so many things that you can do with these kind of models now. One of my most favorite thoughts that I had during this entire thing was, if this actually works, which it did, you can literally fine-tune a set of, or like a series of Gemma models, smaller Gemma models, 270 million parameters. You can fine-tune 10 of them for 10 different tasks and load them in your mobile phone as you need to do one of those 10 tasks, which basically means you don't have to pay big companies to use their models to do smaller things. And you don't have to worry about privacy, and it's fast, like it's super fast. Even on my laptop, it was super fast, which is pretty cool. As AI keeps developing further, smaller models might be the future, because you can run them on consumer grade hardware, you can run them on your mobile phones, and after fine tuning, they perform almost as good as any other AI model, which is so cool. So yeah, that was the whole story of how I had one viral tweet recently, this morning only, and how Google reposted this entire thing. I have a blog about this entire thing on my website, so I'm gonna link that for you in the description. Feel free to check that out. I have the link for the Google Colab, the dataset, all of these things in the description. Try these things out yourself. And I'm trying to be active on X, so I would really appreciate if you can drop a follow there. And as usual, enjoy coding, and I'll see you in the next video.